Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am YORI FOLARIN. This morning I have a guest in studio, and hopefully we'll sort of learn a fair bit more than we usually do on the program about something that concerns all of us. I'm talking about COVID-19, of course, and because of the nature of the, shall we say, what should we call it? The phenomenon, just about everybody knows about the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, but not all of us really need to know about the technicalities of it. And that's what we'll be taking a glimpse into this morning, because my guest is Professor Babatunde Salako. Professor Babatunde Salako is the Director General of the Nigeria Institute of Medical Research. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
Our pleasure. First of all, how does it work, Professor? To be a professor at the Institute of Medical Research, do you have to start out being a doctor first and then get to be a professor?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to start from the scratch and then climb the ladder
Okay.
To get to the top.
Well, exactly.
And of course, you have to remain very active to remain on top.
Indeed. And so I can just, when I put you on as Director General of the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, well, in my mind, I sort of had a notion of a white-coated gentleman, you know, a laboratory coat, because these are scientists that are always in the lab doing their research. But as it is, you turn out Flip in a black suit. But great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now, the main reason why your institute has come into the news, of course, is that it's cheering news that you have developed what is called a rapid molecular test for COVID-19. A rapid molecular test. And I've made some notes here, so I'll sound a bit as if I know what I'm talking about when I say that, you know, this is, you know, in contrast to the polymerase chain reaction, PCR procedure, that has been in use. And that's a quite cumbersome procedure. It requires a heck of a lot of money, heavy-duty equipment and all of that. And so it's not very fast. But now you've come up with something you call a ribonucleic RNA acid test. How am I doing so far, Doctor? I'm sounding good, right?
You are doing well.
Copious notes.
You are doing very well.
Copious notes. But, and then to just shorten it, you've come up with RNA, ribonucleic acid, you know, test kind of a system. Could you explain that to us, please? Especially as the big thing I mustn't forget is that you say within 40 minutes, you can actually determine if a person indeed is positive or not.
Thank you very much. There are quite a number of tests, okay, for COVID-19 diagnosis. And what has been used by most countries and recommended by the WHO is the polymerase chain reaction test, which really measures the virus RNA. That is the body of the virus. Okay,
the polymerase that you talk about, subsequently I'll be referring to it as a PCR.
PCR,
that's
yes,
what is out there right now.
PCR,
okay.
That's what it's called, PCR. And the other measures of making diagnosis, the antigen antibody, the antibody tests, those are commonly referred to as a rapid test because you could see one for 20 minutes, for 10 minutes or thereabout. But they don't measure the real virus in the body. They measure the response of the virus in the body. So it's not considered as something that is 100%, so to speak, because many of them, therefore, are not able to detect to its higher degree, so that when they say someone is positive or negative, many of those tests don't have the quality.
Okay, maybe I'll probably be stopping you a bit frequently, just so that one can understand it's a bit of an arcane field. But you did say that the tests as they exist now don't necessarily measure the virus in the body, but the response.
Yes, that's the rapid test.
Okay.
Most of what they refer to as rapid tests are those tests that measure the response of the body, which is the antibody against the virus. Okay, but the PCR measures the presence of the virus in the body.
Okay,
that's why it's considered the gold standard.
Okay.
For the tests.
And it's not easily conducted because
it's
expensive.
It's expensive equipment, and it requires a high-level technical know-how to be able to do that.
And is it virtually foolproof?
Not foolproof. There is no test that is foolproof. But once you have a significant level, 95, close to 100%,
you got it.
Then you can say that this can be useful. Okay.
Now coming back to the RNA, how does it differ? The RNA is what your institute is working on.
Yes, it's the same thing with the PCR because it measures the virus. Okay. The difference is that we have adapted an equipment called T116 ISO machine, which works on a particular temperature, 40 degrees Celsius, for example, whereas the PCR works in cycling. It goes up, it heats up, it comes down, it heats up, it comes down, trying to convert this to that before it eventually measures what it needs to measure. Now, this one doesn't need to go through all of that. Okay, so it works at one temperature, and it's a smaller equipment. You can take it about. Okay, so we adapted that and then develop, particularly for that machine, what we call SIMA, which is SARS-CoV-2 assay, molecular assay. Okay. And it's based on that temperature.
Okay. When you say SARS-CoV-2, you're talking about COVID-19.
COVID-19,
because
yes. It's called SARS-CoV-2.
And SARS-CoV-1 is probably along the common cold.
Those are the first.
They
didn't name them SARS-CoV-1, but the MERS and the Middle East respiratory distress syndrome that has happened before, and the first one that happened was SARS before the MERS, and then this one is the family of SARS, and therefore it's named SARS-CoV-2. It's coronavirus, all of them, but they are respiratory viruses.
Well, we understand. We understand that we're dealing with a research scientist. So yeah.
So that's how the two came in to distinguish between the first respiratory disease virus caused by a coronavirus, which was a pandemic, which was an epidemic in some regions of the country. And then you now have this one. So it's just to differentiate, but they are all the same family of virus, of coronavirus. Now, what that machine does, we didn't produce the machine.
Okay, because I noticed that you said you adapted it.
We adapted it. So we produced the kits, which is a molecular testing kit. Okay. Same form of kits that is used with the qPCR, the RT-PCR, the real-time PCR that is commonly used. So it's the ability of that machine to work at one single temperature and deliver the results of tests within 36 minutes or thereabouts that we adapted. And it works. Okay? So what it means is that all the usual procedure and processes that may go with the qPCR, some of them are circumvented, so that it becomes very easy for you to do the test in a side lab. All right. Of course, a few months ago, we also produce an RNA extraction kit, because the virus itself is referred to as an RNA virus.
Okay.
Okay. So the extraction kit is actually
That's the ribonucleic
acid kit.
acid kit.
Yes, to extract the RNA of the virus, which let's see it as a tissue of the virus, okay, for tests to be amplified by PCR for detection. That's what. So for every PCR, you need an extraction kit. That was the first we did and launched about 3 months ago.
And this would be new for the kind of equipment that you're talking about, because you say the equipment was adapted,
yes,
to be used in this way.
Yes, I'm just saying that the processes that you need to go to make diagnosis is that you first need, assuming you take the sample now, all right, when you take the sample from outside, the sample is kept in a medium to ensure that the virus continues to live for identification. And we also produce that, which is called viral transport medium. That's where we started. Okay. After producing that, then we produce the RNA extraction kit that will extract the RNA of the virus from the samples and then get it ready for PCR to amplify before making the diagnosis. Now, for these ones too, you still need to extract the RNA. But once you extract the RNA and you put the necessary reagents together and put into this machine, you get your report within the next 36 minutes.
And that is something of a, maybe one is overstating it only slightly to say something of a revolution for our testing procedure locally.
Oh yes, sure, it could be regarded as that. I mean, we have developed the molecular assay with the peculiarity for that machine.
And it works at whatever temperature you set it to. You use the example of 40 degrees.
No, it actually works at 40 degrees.
At 40 degrees.
Yes.
So, well, I don't think I need to probe into why 40 degrees. Maybe that would be going too deep into the research, but
that may not be necessary for our viewers.
Yes, but well, because this thing is new and there are a lot of knowledgeable viewers out there, some of them scientists, some of them doctors, so they probably will be interested in this as well. But for the rest of us, that's why I said probably, it's it might not serve too much of a purpose. But now, the report that came out about it, I understand that you have a team in there that had been working in-house on this, a team led by Dr. Chika Onwama, a team of research scientists. But research costs money.
Yes.
Research costs money. And you did get a 20 million naira grant. That wasn't from government, was it?
No. We got a grant of 20 million from Faith Philanthropy Foundation, a coalition against COVID-19,
okay,
which I believe is led by Mr. FOLARIN.
Okay.
And we had, in last year, put a team together because we felt that each time we did have an epidemic, we take samples outside the country.
I understand that a call has come in. Okay, could you please hold your thoughts? And then, good morning, Mr. Hassan.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, sir. I would just want to ask a simple question to your guest.
Yeah, Professor Salako.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Prof.
Morning.
I want to thank you very much for developing this rapid test, because it has been a source of concern, especially to us tourism practitioners. Now, how are we going to have to deploy this to have an airport-based testing? I don't know if you're working with the government and the PTF with that regard, to have testing done at the airport. To me, it's even better to be tested at the airport and detected before you even enter the country, instead of having to have the issue of people presenting fake PCR results, as the PTF said earlier. So I don't know if you have any collaboration with the PTF in deploying this at the airport. Because, for example, the quarantine protocol of 7 days is too long for someone that wants to do 5 days in Nigeria. We have business travelers, we have tourists that are not staying up to 7 days.
Okay.
And making them stay 7 days before they even mix with the public.
All right, then. But thank you very much for calling in, Hassan. I'm sure we would have got there. First of all, let me ask, the deployment aspect, is that under your cap as well, or you guys are just research scientists, you come up with the goods?
Yeah, ours is to bring up
These
new knowledge.
Yes, new knowledge, inventions,
or
innovations.
And of course, there are some statutory agencies that also need to take a look at what we have done in terms of validation. In our own lab, we have looked at it, we have tested it, it works. That's why we exposed it to the public.
Yes.
But then, before it becomes very useful,
Can go mainstream.
it has to go through validation.
I really thought so. In fact,
so we are in the process of asking those, for example, NAFDAC may want to look at it because it's a device for making diagnosis, medical device. The laboratory council may also want to test it.
All these bodies still have to, it has to go through.
They may want to.
It's not entirely different from the development of a new drug that then goes through
many
different layers of testing before it can be.
Although they may fast track it because of the situation which we are in.
Okay. But it's the breakthrough that we're talking about here.
Yes. So it's going to go through that.
Mazi Okorafor, sorry to have kept you waiting. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. YORI. Good morning, Professor Babatunde Salako. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Prof, it's a pleasure to have you. But, Prof, it is very late for the discovery of this new molecular testing kit. Because, like, in Nigeria today, we have people like Professor AGEGE, the governor of Cross River State, Cross River State, who is a scientist, molecular scientist, tested not only in Nigeria or Africa, the whole world. But the question now is this, Prof. In Nigeria today, we have the highest number of doctors and professors. Over 53 to 58% of Nigerian doctors they are in US. More than. Now, what do we do now that we have discovered this issue of a testing kit? Like the last caller said about that 8 days. The one I saw the Indians were showing on the television there, I discovered that one takes up to 24 or 48 hours. They will produce the test. So why are we going to that 8 days? Because why I'm saying this is that it is not healthy for somebody, maybe he's on a testing arena, that he will wait and be waiting for 8 days. That means if he's waiting for 8 days, then there will be no medication for him. The symptom or the parasite will not do what? Be developing higher than higher. So what do we do under this condition?
Okay, Mazi. Thank you very much for calling in, Mazi.
Well, the essence of developing this is that's why we call it a point of care, so that you don't have to visit the lab. It could be done where the patient is or the person who needed the test is. There are one or two things, because of the nature of the virus, it's still not a test that you could just be doing in the open. There has to be a small side lab where you can contain the virus, for example. And that can be easily placed anywhere within the airport. But we must get through acceptance of it by government to say we are ready to use this, and then we can deploy it to the airport. It's good for such things because for each of the machines, it can take 16 tests. And with that 16 tests, the result will come up within 30 minutes or thereabout. So if we have quite a number of that, people can easily just get their sample taken and get the result there.
Because it's interesting you pointed that out, because Mazi had said, 4 days, 2 days. You're saying no, not 4 days, 2 days. Maybe is it 4 hours, or when you can get the result? Is it?
No, you can get it. We did a demo the day we unveil it. People saw it.
Okay, so
within 30 minutes.
Okay,
you
within
can
30
see the
minutes.
graph of in fact, within the first 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
If you are in a hurry,
you begin to get
indications. You can make up your mind whether this is positive or negative. Okay, it's just the 30 minutes required is to allow the graph to show of the identified gene that we are using to make diagnosis.
Okay. So this new procedure, this developed procedure, within half an hour you can actually get a result.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to note about it, and it's much better and different. And then it wouldn't be as expensive as what exists now.
Yes. One, you need to get the T116 ISO machine. Which is not made.
That's not the problem.
It's not made in Nigeria.
The person who is going to be testing, that's not his problem.
No, that's not his problem.
Okay.
I'm saying
that
we are talking about
in order for
deployment.
this to work.
Yes.
In order for this to work.
Yeah, we are talking about deployment.
And you had said that this machine, you had adapted it for this purpose.
For this purpose.
Okay.
So we need to get more of that machine. Okay. We produce the assay, the molecular assay, and we can do that. But we didn't produce the machine, so we need to get the machine.
Is the machine a common one in use? Is it well known to medical personnel in hospitals?
Yes.
It's a relatively straightforward common machine.
Yes.
But then again, it's probably...
And it's cheaper than the common PCR that is being used currently. Much cheaper. I mean, one of that cost us about $10,000.
Okay.
Whereas the other PCR will cost between $50,000 and $100,000, depending on how many tests you want it to perform.
Okay. So if this was, assuming that all the regulatory authorities now say, yeah, we're onto a good thing here, that's when the whole matter of maybe even supplying or providing it for other African countries will begin to come into it. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to the Prof.
Good morning.
Prof, I'm sorry to ask this personal question. Are you new in the Institute of Medical Research? The reason why I'm asking, sir,
yes,
is that this is the first time we are hearing that Nigerian Institute of Medical Research is coming out with a research product.
A research finding.
So I've been wondering what is the work of that institute, because can you enlighten us further? What other issues have been made to improve our medical sector? I have never heard of anything like this. Can you help us?
But have you heard of the institute? Just that
I know about the institute.
Okay.
I even have a friend that worked there.
Okay.
And I've been asking, what do you people do?
Okay.
He has not been able to provide any answer. So maybe the professor can help us.
That's not possible.
You're lucky. We have the Director General here.
He works in an institute and he doesn't know what they do.
Okay.
Well, the institute is supposed to conduct research.
When was it established?
I think it started in the mid-1920s.
Oh, okay. It's a very, very mature institute.
It's an old institute as a yellow fever research and vaccine production center.
Okay.
And it has served that purpose and moving from stage to stage to get to where we are as Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. So the main duty is to conduct research to diseases of public health importance, and like the one that we have now.
That we're talking about now.
And of course, we're also supposed to do training and provide enabling environment for research in Nigeria. And that has been going on over the past years. In the last 2 years, if you had followed the history of the Institute, you would have noticed that we had developed what we call a DNA extraction kit, like the twin brother or sister to the RNA extraction kit. But because at that time there was no diseases that is ravaging anybody that is targeted at, So it really didn't gain any prominence from people.
But and also, sorry to interrupt you there. People had the concept that if you wanted a DNA test, it wasn't readily available locally, so much so that samples were being sent abroad, and it was taking a heck of a lot of time to get a DNA test result.
Yeah, that is true, but I believe that there are 1 or 2 laboratories in country.
But is your institute able to conduct such a test?
No, we are not into that.
Oh, okay.
But we have developed an extraction kit that will first extract the DNA from the samples before it could be further used for something else. And a lot of scientists work with DNA. So that kit is there, and we are promoting it, but it didn't gain much prominence as this one. We developed an RNA extraction kit about 3 months ago, I said. That also gained prominence because it's for COVID.
Because of the times.
But it's because of the times. So, and now this one. So it's because of the times that we are in that gave prominence to these ones that makes it look like we are hearing it for the first time.
Okay, but well, that most Nigerians are hearing about the institute. But it's interesting, you said the institute has been around from the 20s, as a matter of fact, and has been transitioning. Good morning, Garba. Thank you very much for holding on. Taria. Oh, Taria, I hear. Taria, good morning, Taria in Makurdi.
Okay, Vangi, not Taria.
I thought so.
Vangi.
What's the name, please?
Sir, E-S-E-R.
Okay.
Not Taria.
We'll first of all take Taria that it is not, but we didn't hear clearly what the name is, and that's a function of the phone line. But say it one more time, please.
I said, sir, she doesn't like, let her write Vangi. Vangi is V-A-N-G-R.
Okay, carry on, please. Carry on with your submission.
Okay, what I got this morning, YORI. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
The question I want to have yesterday, I think we were yesterday at the briefing, presidential task force briefing. We were told that our state have been given an amount of 1 billion naira each to pay for. And well, I would like to know when was this money released? And what are the guidelines?
Okay.
The guidelines are not known. Many people may not know. They have to go to the table.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling in. Your interest is different. It's palliative, the federal government palliative thing that you're asking about, and how one can access it and what the parameters are, the website. Okay, well, just stand by, Garba. I don't know, before the end of the program, I'll probably tell you, I'll give you a pointer as to where you can just go online and find out all about it. Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I didn't hear your name, but at least I did hear your concern, and we'll be able to address that, I'm sure, before the end of the program. Well, you were saying that it's a function of the times that people are, probably here. So, but what I wanted to ask is that, being a research institute and all, it's not very much different from other, ivory towers, universities. And those ones have their problems with, especially ASU, those ones have their problems with government at the moment. And among those problems are that they are not properly funded to do what they know how to do best: research, teaching, and all of those kind of things and tools. Please tell me that with the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, you guys are awash with funds, awash with equipment.
We receive what everybody receives from government. We receive envelope. And like I've described it before, I think government, whichever way you are able to make use of that. So we had to look for people to support us. And that's how we got to the Faith Philanthropic Foundation to get funds for this. But I was saying before that we had to send some of our scientists out to China and Senegal to learn this art. And I'm happy that today it has paid off. They spent like 3 months in China with the China CDC and about 6 weeks with the Institut Pasteur in Senegal. That's where we used to send our samples. So they had to learn specifically pathogen detection or identification. And so they've gotten this idea of being able to produce kits. But we are limited by the fact that if we want to produce kits, we need to design it. They design what they call probes and primers, which are tested within the labs before they come up with the final results. This cannot be done in country. You have to send it out. It takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks for them to design it, send it back. You try it. If you need a little tweak, you send back again. And then so it takes time.
So we still have our own, we still have our, just like a higher institute, higher research institute, you have the same kind of problems that, challenges that other ones have.
Oh, we do have. Yeah, I mean, we are essentially in the same milieu. So
okay, there's another caller on the line. ALHAJI SUBAIR. Okay, yes, ALHAJI SUBAIR is from ALIMOSHO. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. YORI.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
All right. Mr. YORI, please, my question is, seems to be Prof is dodging away Mr. George's question. The question he asked is like whether Professor Babatunde is just coming to Nigerian Institute of Research. Because Nigeria is very, we are very interested in that because we have this research all along. We have not been, intensified with tremendous improvement. That is what we are interested because that's why Mr. George, your last speaker asked whether, Professor Babatunde is just new in that research. Because what we saw now, we go kudos to him because, where everybody was thinking that the Nigerian Research Institute is a jumping ground. But kudos to somebody like you are coming with a innovation. That's why we are very keen in that particular time, whether you are just new in that research institute.
But, ALHAJI SUBAIR, I hear you. If that is the point that you want to make, sir, I hear you. I think you're sort of interested in when Professor Salako took office. I wonder if I'm right there. But I thought that what you were saying was that because Mr. George's larger question was really what other achievements had the Institute been able to make. It's in that connection that he was speculating that he wondered when Professor... By the way, Professor, are you adverse to telling them when you took office?
No, I took office 2016, September.
Okay, so Professor Babatunde...
So I'm not new.
Professor Babatunde Salako has been DG at the place from 2016.
Yes.
Okay, then. So there's that part to it. But the other part to Mr. George's question, as I remember, was that this, the COVID testing kit that is being developed, what other things, especially as it's been in existence in one form or the other since the mid-20s, since 1920s, what other things? He was sort of interested in that. That's probably because Professor has been talking to us about this machine and then having come, and it's one of the more arcane kind of institutes. You don't hear about them every day, especially unless you're in that particular territory. So I imagine that's the context in which Mr. George wanted to know a bit more about it. And just before you come back, sir, the gentleman who had called in from Makurdi, actually, it's interesting you asked the question that you asked. You were more concerned with this federal government thing, palliatives. Well, I was speaking with Ajuri Ngilale, and it just so happens that he had actually said to me that the website you need to go for where you'll get all the information you want, it's Survival Fund Application. Put those 3 words, make it into one word, survivalfundapplication.com. Go ahead and do that, sir. The gentleman, I couldn't hear your name properly from Makurdi, but survivalfundapplication.com. All about the billions that the federal government will be dispensing, you find all about it on that particular website. Is there a caller on the line? Let me go to break, and please stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and just to recap on, the gentleman who called in from Makurdi, and I think the line wasn't too good, but he was trying to access the federal government announced fund, survival fund. Well, it's actually live as of yesterday, but for clarity, survival fund application, all one word. Don't get the spelling wrong. There are double P's all over the place. Survivalfundapplication.com. Google that, and when you land there, it should answer all the questions that you want to know. I didn't even know I was going to need this, but I was just chatting with Ajuri Ngelale, the presidential spokesman, and he happened to have dropped it. And so it's sort of coming in a timely sort of a way. Okay, Prof. So where we are now, where you've said there are challenges, funding is what it is. You've been working with what you have. Faith Philanthropy Coalition
against COVID-19.
They came in. Oh, there's a caller on the line that's been holding on. Thank you very much for holding on. It's from AGEGE, and it's Mr. Abati. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I wanted to contribute to the program.
Okay, sir. We're ready.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, my brother.
This is C83 Abati.
I know.
How are you, sir?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to appreciate you for your effort at the Institute. And we know by your pedigree that you are going to perform very well. And you will notice that people have been asking, when has the Institute been on? Meaning that the Institute has not been there making its effort known to people. And you have to blow your trumpet first. Blow your trumpet and let people know about the Institute.
And let them pay for publicity too.
Exactly.
They have to pay for publicity.
They need to pay for it.
They don't have these funds for publicity.
Another question I wanted to ask Prof is this. Is there any research going on development of vaccine?
Okay. Okay, Mr. Abati.
That is very important.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Please continue to blow our efforts on. Carry on, carry on. We are with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
thank you, Prof.
Dr. Abati.
Okay.
Now we get asked this question often, and before we used to think that this is a tall order for us, but when I get asked, I thought we needed to do something about it. So we put a team together, and we started working. And I can say that we are like 25–30% in. Because we are currently in the laboratory experimenting.
Because Russia has produced something,
yes.
And they said that they have had a breakthrough. I don't know whether they submitted it to all the right people to test.
Well, you see,
they've done it before America.
This is about owning your own thing, okay, as a country. Yes, there are global standards, but in a situation like this, when you do your own, as a country, you decide. I mean, you are not going to use it for any other person.
Okay.
You are going to use it for your people.
Okay.
If you are sure that using this for your people is protective, is not going to expose anybody to any danger,
President Putin,
then you should go ahead and do it. That's what Russia has done.
Putin
Today,
said his daughter has taken it.
There are several countries running after Russia, even though it's only phase 2 testing that they have done.
Okay.
So if we own something in our country, we must necessarily ensure that we put them into use. Waiting for other people or countries of the world to develop something for us to use. It's not, for example, if that vaccine is ready, when will it come to Nigeria?
Okay.
So we have to start working.
There was an effort coming out of Africa
that
presented to the president.
There's one of our colleagues
from Cape Verde, you know, something like that.
I'm not aware
okay,
of that.
one moment. Let me. Someone is on the line. Blessing. Good morning, Blessing.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in. Go right ahead, please.
I want to thank you. I want to thank the program. I'm enjoying the show.
Okay, that's nice. That's good to hear, Blessing. But did you want to ask the professor anything?
No, I just want to thank you. I'm enjoying the show.
Okay, then. That helps. Thank you very much for calling in, Blessing.
I was saying that, talking about vaccine, we have one of our colleagues in Redeemers University, Professor Christian Happy, is working on the vaccine for COVID. We at Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, I said we're about 25–30% in. We are working on vaccine. So between these two institutions, and recently I spoke with the Vice Chancellor of Madam Fodio University, Professor Lawal Bilbis, who is also interested in production of vaccine, especially to Lassa fever. Now we are all coming together to ensure that whatever it is, we are able to contribute to this development and produce a candidate vaccine. Now, getting a candidate vaccine may not mean that it will work, but it would have provided us experience that we will need to do others.
A lot of data.
Yes, so that if we miss that, we can always do another one and try it. Well, if we don't get involved in that kind of science, it's unlikely that we will be able to do that. So for us now, we may not be able to say that it's going to be ready at a particular time, but I was looking at end of the year stroke first quarter of next year.
Is that a function of manpower? Is it a function of money?
It's a function of funding.
Funding?
Yes, it's a function of funding.
Biodun has come on. Let me quickly bring this in so I don't lose the call. Good morning, Biodun.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Yeah. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. I want to ask a question. Somebody brought in an idea of these molecular rapid testing kits to be at the airport. I'm a medical personnel. I'm not a doctor, but I'm a medical personnel. I just want to chip in this. Why is it that even in the hospital, when they take the sample for this COVID test for our patients, it takes a very long time before the result comes in? And in the process of caring for the patient, the health workers got infected. And now, this is on with you here. Why can't we have this advantage and this opportunity of using this in all the hospitals, especially the Lagos State hospitals? The health workers are being infected every day. We have nurses dying. At least we had one that died in Lassus just because of this COVID test. But if these tests had been taken and the result came in time, maybe we will have saved that now.
Okay. All right.
This thing has been happening. I'm very sorry, sir, again. This COVID-19 that we're doing for all these the travelers that are going out of the country, and they are paying this exorbitant amount of money. And getting to the airport, nothing is being checked. They are not asked of the test. They are not asking of the results. They just did the test. Are we not thinking, people outside are thinking that it's just because the government wants to make money out of these people that the tests were not done?
Okay.
So please, I want an answer to the. God bless you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in, Biodun. But you need to understand that we're speaking here with the research guys, not the policy guys. He's a research scientist, his team, that's what it's all about. And he said earlier that they are supposed to come up with innovations and all of that, and that they have to go through layers of, what is it? Is it testing? Is it validations and all of that? But with that caveat, maybe you'd want to comment on some of the points you raised.
Well, I believe that health workers are in the front lines, and it's like a soldier who goes to war. I mean, he might kill people or be killed.
So she was very concerned about them being, they being in the front line. That they are
that's where I'm going.
Okay.
To say that our work as medical workers are like that of soldiers. When war comes, you have to face it.
Yes.
So that is something that is clear. And therefore, we necessarily must remember the usual preventive measures.
Yes, sir. But
because
I think
every
she was
patient...
concerned- sorry, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
She was more concerned with this. She seems to be excited about this discovery. But how soon can we get it into those places?
I'm just leading to that because
okay.
it's an
Okay.
opportunity to say that
Okay.
for us as health workers now, we must take every patient that present to the hospital as COVID-19 patients. That is the only way we can do the preventive measures to prevent us from, in fact, getting the disease. That's where I was going.
Okay.
Now, as for getting the result ready.
I'm going to have to interrupt you again because, you see, we have very limited time and Ada has come in again. And so you're going to have to...
Hello?
Please remember the part of
Hello?
Biodun's answer you got to. We'll join it to Ada's points. Good morning, Ada.
Hello.
Hello, Ada.
Good morning, Ada from Jos.
Good morning.
Good morning to Prof. there.
Morning.
I'm so interested in what he's talking about, honestly speaking.
Okay.
You see, the problem we have in Nigeria is research is capital intensive, and it's not something that waits for any serious country. At 60, we cannot even produce some of these things, and we have intellectual people who can do it, from what he's saying there. They need funding. So the federal government should fund them. See, the problem we have in Nigeria is that we believe in others. We don't believe in our own.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Ada. So now, you got to the issue about deploying, because Ada was, Biodun before Ada. Ada is also very, very supportive, but
deploying
how do we get
test.
the equipment and the testing very, very close to
that is when government is convinced of what we have done. And we're in the process of informing the Honorable Minister. I'm sure before the day runs out today, he should find a report on his table, the two of them, and of course the national coordinator at the PTF and the NCDC DG. They will find the reports. And they have to take it on from there. Yes. Because
what you're saying, sir, is that your work has to go to the Ministry of Health.
Oh, well, they are principals.
Yes,
so
they go to the,
we report to the Ministry of Health. Yes.
But I'm a bit surprised that you're not telling me that they are already aware of this and are just awaiting a formal report or whatever.
Oh, they are aware. That's what I'm saying. They need to see a formal report.
Okay.
I mean, I spoke with the minister over the weekend about it. And
I was a bit afraid when you said they should find your report on their desk.
Oh, they will find, yes, because there has to be an official report detailing what has happened.
But they are in the know.
They are in the know.
Yes, about this.
They are in the know. So deciding when to use that and where to use that rests with government.
And whatever other tests are necessary.
That are necessary.
Okay.
But we still have to do a few more things because when we give them to one or two laboratories within Lagos, they recommended one or two things. The test detects only one gene of the SARS-CoV-2. Okay. The PCR detects 2.
Okay.
And there are usually 3 genes, the human genes, that shows that the sample actually comes from the human being, and then those 2 genes. So the test can detect the human gene and the one of the 2 genes. Okay. The other gene, the N gene, is what we are now trying to put into it, as advised by one of those.
So it's like a sort of a field test.
Oh, yes.
A field test.
To see, okay, we have done this. Have a look at it. What do you think? And they have advised that, and we are going to do that to improve the situation. The test can detect as low as 100 copies of the virus per mil. That is the power now. Below that, it may not detect.
Mil as in millimeter?
Yes, okay. of the samples. So below the 100, it may not be able to detect it. But as a point of care, we feel it's good enough to triage people to determine who needs treatment quickly and all of that.
Okay.
And so they have recommended that we should add the 3rd gene that may also improve its detecting capability, which is something that we can also do.
Okay.
As it is now, it still can work. It depends on what government wants to do with it, haven't taken a look at it.
Okay, Ibrahim has come on the line. Good morning, Ibrahim. Ibrahim, good morning.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes, we are with you as well. Please go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead, please. Ibrahim, if you can hear us, go ahead.
Yes, issue of this COVID-19 and the test kit. Yes, my contribution.
Ibrahim.
I urge the government, if can be possible, to provide the test kit in each ward of the...
Okay, Ibrahim, the delay is not your fault. I think there's I think there's some sort of it happens sometimes with transmission, but we got what you were going to say. I'm sorry for presuming we knew what you were going to say. But I think you were going to say this thing needs to be dispersed, distributed as widely as possible. You know,
that's what we expect. But you see, it still has to go through some little screening process by government. So it may take a little bit of time for us to get to that point. All right? But certainly it can be used in those areas.
Okay. Well, people are excited about this, and I just, but something about dampener for me that we thought this was about ready to launch, but you're saying that no, they just announced it's like a progress report. It's like a progress report, and that it's up to the ministry to evaluate it with its own experts and specialists.
It's the way it is, with the level of detection that it is, it's ready to go.
Okay.
But you see, when you produce something new, you don't wait there.
Yeah.
You continue to improve on it.
Of course.
So we have started that process of improving.
It's a bit like software.
Yes.
You know, you have version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3.
Exactly. In fact, we are also in the process of developing another molecular kit for the common PCR.
Okay, we've completely run out of time now, but I want to thank you very much, Professor Babatunde Salako, for coming on and sharing your professional experience in the research field, especially as it relates to COVID-19, and giving us some sort of history as to how these things are. Thank you very much for coming, and we wish you well. And,
thank you very much.
We hope that they will fund you properly. Professor Babatunde Salako, DG, Nigeria Institute of Medical Research, our guest this morning. That brings us to the end of the program. As we say on the way out, do everything you can, please, to stay as safe as you can be. See you tomorrow, God willing, with a fresh edition. I'm YORI FOLARIN. Bye-bye for now.